Welcome back to our Rise Prime Time, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. I'm Sumner Sambo. We now move on to petroleum refining. Now to some cherry news. The Dangote Petroleum Refinery has commenced production of diesel and aviation fuel. The refinery received the 6th crude oil shipment of 1 million barrels of Bonny Light supplied by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited last week. The 650,000 barrels per day oil processing facility is designed to process crude oil grades from the 3 continents of Africa, Asia, and America. Already, 7 major oil marketers in Nigeria have registered with the refinery for the lifting and distribution of refined petroleum products produced by the $20 billion plant. Dealers under the aegis of the Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria have also confirmed that with the registration, they will commence the distribution of fuel produced from the facility once the commercial terms are sorted. Well, joining me now to take a look at this is the lawyer and energy consultant, Madaki Ameh. Thank you so much for joining us. And also the oil and gas expert, Ademola Adigun. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, Madaki Ameh. Talk to us about this $20 billion plant and what exactly it means for not just Nigerians, but Africans to hear that this gigantic project, which some, foreigners had started describing as a white elephant project at some point, has started producing aviation fuel and then, of course, diesel, just before we go to petrol.
Yeah, I think it's a very positive thing for the Nigerian economy. It's a massive project by every standard. You know, $20 billion is not a small amount of money to commit to any project, especially an oil and gas project at this time when the world is moving away from fossil fuels. You know, at the initial stage when the project was on, you know, concerns were whether it will even be possible to find financing for the project because of the aversion of, you know, the financing world these days to financing of fossil fuel projects, especially of that kind of magnitude. But so it's a thing of pride, you know, for the country, you know, that such a massive project actually eventually saw the light of day, and it's right here. You know, that's number one. Number two, I think it's also, you know, it gives us some level of confidence as a country, you know, that at least the shame that we have been under for, you know, for at least 2 to 3 decades, where we a major oil producer, you know, crude oil producer in Africa, where we do not refine for our local consumption, will at least be taken away from us. You know, so the fact that we refine in country is a positive development. You know, but the devil now is in the details. You know, and you know, it's not just to cite the project; it's how to turn it around. You know, to run it in a profitable manner, because if wanting to commit such a large amount of money to a project is another thing, because typically refining margins are very, very slim. So if refining margins are slim and you're committing such a large amount of money to, you know, setting up a single train, 650,000 barrels a day refining facility, you have to have an eye for how you're going to get that money back.
Of course. And of course, you know that lots of financiers are already on the neck of Dangote, exactly. And it's really in search of forex, just like Nigeria itself. Ademola Adigun, let's talk about the international pessimism. I mean, there were some reports that started coming out from sometime around May when it was launched by President Muhammadu Buhari then, that this plant may not be ready until maybe 2026 or 2027. Some said 2025. And some were even saying that, look, this may actually be a white elephant project. I mean, all sorts of talks here and there. But we've seen the final fulfillment. And now the cherry news is that 7 major oil marketers are saying that they are prepared to start lifting the diesel and aviation fuel that will be produced there. Talk to us about how this will make a great impact.
As my co-presenter said, the key thing is it's a big deal. It's sorted out. And we've started now. The devil is in details. Moman has about 9 members registered to lift. IPMAN has 9 members or so to lift. So different people are lifting, but we haven't seen the product sets. You talked about the pessimism last year. Well, there's a lesson learned for us here, and that's about being honest and being truthful. There wasn't any reason why the pressure have commissioned a plant that wasn't ready yet. When you do such things, you send negative signals to the world. It's fair for people to be pessimistic when you say, okay, you commission a project, and then in 3-4 months nothing happens. So that
isn't it a Nigerian thing?
Well, that's a Nigerian thing we need to change. And that honesty, that integrity, we bring it to governance. That thing of doing things properly, that has to come into play as well. So if that hadn't happened, there'd like no pessimism. But kudos to Dangote. He's braved a lot of odds to get it where it went to. And about the fossil fuel future, I mean, yes, there's that fear we have about fossil fuels, but in real terms, and being sincere, we have 100 years of fossil fuel demand. So it's not going to change soon. It's not going to be one day we change it all to nuclear energy. It's happening gradually. But there'll be no leapfrog into that era quickly. So he has 100 years or more. And again, he's not doing only products. There's fertilizer and others. One of the things that's been very interesting about Nigeria and foreign exchange, I am not sure how that savings will come from. He said something right now, which you ended your last pitch upon. He has to make profit. He has taken loans, the investment from the Nigerian government all over. He has to make a return on that money. And like my colleague said, it's a very low margin. Nigerian refineries even do better than most around the world. The ones that are shut down in Nigeria were doing 1.6, 1.7, when average worldwide was 1.1. So there's a margin that's higher around here because there's a market. But there's still so many hurdles to cross. I heard about him having a facility for 4,900 trucks to evacuate. I sincerely hope there's an alternative evacuation method. 4,900 trucks on that road in Lagos. On that will kill Lagos. That's will kill the economy of Lagos. Will kill all the roads being built. So I remember during the conceptualization, I had happened on a conversation where there were thoughts about connecting the refinery to the Aredo port and other things where it can be easier to lift and you can use existing systems. I don't know that has been done. But if you haven't done it in a normal, tardy way, then I just shudder at that evacuation process. It's a lot of products. I mean, 5,000 tankers, 3,000 tankers additional to what's on Lagos. But it's a big deal and we're celebrating it.
All right, Madaki Ameh, talk to us about how how Nigerians are receiving this news, because the enthusiasm initially was for petrol products. I mean, people just want these petrol products everywhere, but once it came out that it was diesel and aviation fuel, a lot of people started asking what exactly was going on. Why is it sort of like difficult for Dangote Refinery to begin with petrol and not diesel or aviation fuel?
Well, you know, the production process is designed to produce all the liquid products. So I think it's a matter of strategy, as a market penetration process, for them, because through the catalytic cracking process, it's, by the time you apply heat to crude oil, different products start coming out at different temperatures. So it's not as if the refinery is not able to produce, PMS. But I guess, they're just looking at their own, market penetration strategy to say, so where do we start from? And how does it, how do we, which of the products should we put in the market first? But I think people should just be expectant, that in no time, the other, the PMS, which is the, the primary product, here that a lot of people are excited about, will come into the market. But I think that excitement should actually also be driven by the sort of pricing that that the products will land in the market with, because
yeah, I mean, I thought so myself, that it looks like maybe Dangote Refinery is working with the authorities to get an appropriate pricing. Could that actually be the major challenge, so that they don't push products into the market at a price that may not actually meet up with the expectations, or even may go in such a way that the public expectations will be cut short?
Yes, I imagine so, because, Nigerians are highly sensitive, and realistically so, because of the multiplier effect of the cost of the product on all other things in the economy. So it makes a lot of sense, for them to get the pricing right from day one. you know, but a few things affect the pricing of products at the pump. You know, the biggest single component is actually the cost of crude. So if crude accounts for like 80% of the cost of the product at the pump, then it means that for anything to change, there has to be a deliberate approach, you know, towards the pricing of the product, which has the highest impact on the end product, you know, at the pump. So, you know, if the government doesn't get it right, then of course we may have a refinery right here, but you know, the impact will not be much. You know, if they're still going to be buying the product at the international price of crude, you know, and buying it in dollars, then at the end of the day, you know, the promise that the local production holds, you know, may not be realized as quickly as everybody, you know,
is really expected.
Is hoping for.
And Ademola, let's talk about the investment we've put into this in terms of public investment. We have 20% from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited sunk into this project, and Nigerians are expecting benefits from that investment. And then, of course, the national pride that is there, that look, okay, this is situated here, it's been done by a Nigerian. What other benefits are we really expecting? Because when I talk to people, they just tell me that what they just want, irrespective of what has happened, whether forex or whatever Dangote has problems with, they just want petrol price to be lesser than 617. Is that going to be really possible?
That will not happen. And that's what my colleague alluded to here, and you also said it yourself. The biggest components of a liter of petrol and products are two: the international price of the product and your foreign exchange. Those are the two determinants of products. The reason why Dangote is not producing petrol now is because the prices here are still subsidized. We are still under a subsidy regime on petrol. I mean, the only people that would agree with that are the authorities.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what I say.
The reality
the NPCL will tell you that
it
has been deregulated.
If it's been regulated, how come nobody else to bring anything? No, we've had those kind of stories many times. It's not true. We're still partial subsidizing, or we haven't got to market prices. The variation, look, you said it earlier on, all these things come from crude, diesel, aviation fuel. So why would there be such a differential? You have 660 in Abuja. In Lagos, you have 600, 570. Then diesel is how much? 935, 1,000. Why would that be different? If they're all from the same pipeline, you can't have yam and Yoruba from the same flour and say things are different. So there's that reality we are not facing. And the changes will keep on happening if the forex exchange moves. Officially, the foreign exchange today is 199. When we started this regulation process of full liberation from subsidy, it was about 760, 750. That means that the price of petroleum products has been affected. It's also the way it works. It's those two things that determine the price, whether refinery is in Abuja, whether it's in local. And I've said it several times on different forums to say, look, temper that expectation. No, Dangote is not a charity. He's a businessman. He's invested a lot of money. We have investment in the money. We want to return on our investments. The refinery margins are very small. You cannot sell petrol at subsidized prices. The reason why he's doing aviation and diesel is because they are fully liberalized, and you get your full return on it. And when people make a lot of noise about it, because whenever I say this on the public place, we get angry and saying, what do you mean? Tell us that something in Abuja and something in Lagos and something. Well, you've already seen it in the market distortion now. There's 16% difference between Abuja and Lagos now because it's carried by diesel. The cost of diesel affects what you get in Abuja. And that's why it's cheaper in Lagos and then and more expensive the further you go. The international prices of freight is negligible in the determination of a product prices. So it doesn't really make a difference whether you have it in your backyard.
Yeah, but that's what people are saying. If we are refining here, all the freight, all the haulage and all of that
is less than 4% of the cost. It doesn't make a lot of, it's not that high.
And with our huge investments,
but
20%,
our huge investment,
the thinking is that, look, we're going to buy petrol at cheaper prices.
You will not buy it at cheaper price from Dangote unless government subsidizes the cost of input. Dangote will buy diesel. The 6 million liters is misapplied, were bought at international prices of crude. They were not subsidized. Nigeria still earns its foreign exchange from crude sales. 91% of our earnings, foreign exchange earnings, is from crude sales. We are not going to give Dangote cheaper. Otherwise, we have no earnings. I mean, the same people who complain about the dollar, the same people who say, oh, the dollar is going higher and higher. You have no money to subsidize your dollar. Your foreign reserve is about 33 billion in nomenclature terms, maybe in 31 in real terms. You still have debt you owe to airlines because you can't sort out foreign exchange.
Yeah, I mean,
so your dollar is
exchange.
stabilized by how much you can impact in the market. So to stabilize your market, you need to put in about 220, 230 on a weekly basis, based on the current demands. Where are you going to get the FX from when your 91% of your earnings is from crude sales? So when you fix oil theft, in their budget, they have 1.6, 1.7 million barrels as projected. Well, they have oil theft at levels that are unbelievable. So it's not going to happen with Dangote that somebody will expect that they'll buy petrol for 400 naira because just put this in Dangote. That will not happen. And that's why Dangote will not put any product into the market now.
And you're already making me look afraid. I mean, it looks like it may be more profitable for Dangote to actually sell petrol outside Nigeria than within Nigeria. Correct. Based on his postulation. Correct. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's actually a scary but realistic way to look at it. But the larger picture is that every economy subsidizes something.
Correct.
And considering that how things have really gone south, since since the removal of subsidies, since the increase in the pump price of products, I think that we also need to think outside the box and find a way of ensuring that some of these, a Dangote Refinery, probably a Boa Refinery coming up, and the NNPC Refinery in Port Harcourt that's going to come up soon, should have a way, of having an impact on the domestic, price of petrol. Otherwise, it's going to really put Nigerians under a lot of pressure. And I think there are two ways they can look at doing it. One of them, in my view, would be to subsidize the cost of crude. Because at the end of the day, we're still an oil-producing country.
But we have to sell crude at the international price so that we'll get some monies to run our budget.
Yes, but what's the point? Selling crude at the international price, to earn foreign exchange, and at the end of the day, having to deploy most of what you get from that, in managing the fallout, from and the dislocation in the economy based on the astronomical rise in the cost of doing everything else. You get the point. The other way of looking at it is also to think of selling crude to local refineries in naira instead of in dollars.
Well, there was that proposal by Dangote, like we heard, and it was rejected even by federal lawmakers. I mean, I don't know how that will be able to say. I mean, you can come in.
Look at the scenario like this.
That proposal.
You forget about the proposal. Your budget this year is predicated on 1.6 million barrels per day, 1.7. That's your budget. Your foreign exchange is predicated on a $800 exchange rate, right? That's what your budget numbers say. If you sell in crude, how do you grow your reserves? Without a reserve, how do you defend your naira? So it's a vicious circle. And again, it's not any fault of any one government. This is the reason that these things happen. Because a government is not there to make profit on people. It's a social construct. Yeah. What I think is we can't subsidize, we shouldn't subsidize crude sales.
Yeah, very quickly.
It doesn't make anything. Random. What we should subsidize is transportation. Everywhere in the world, like you said correctly, energy is subsidized. It's where you put subsidy. It's not wise to put it at consumption. You put subsidy on production. That's how most countries do it.
Yeah, and some people will actually say you're sounding political.
But I'm being realistic.
I mean, the presidential candidate
you have
during the last elections mentioned
but that's the honest truth. I mean, everybody has traveled, and with the internet now, you can search anything online. I mean, you can't subsidize production, and that is what you ought to do. When you subsidize consumption, this is why we are in this mess. This is why everything's gone south, because you changed the price of one thing. Remember, we still have even energy being subsidized to some extent. That's power.
I mean,
even power is
President Tinubu had to bring back that subsidy.
No, because
in August,
exactly.
Or else it would have been something else.
People have been on the street fighting and rioting, but you still have to think about a win-win for the country.
All right.
We have not diversified our earnings from foreign exchange, and that's what we need to do quickly. We need to have energy to diversify. You can't diversify earnings without a good energy mix, so it's complicated.
All right, just before I let you go, Ademola Adigun, if you look at the EFCC case with Dangote, won't it affect how he will also relate with the country, with the EFCC knocking on his doors on this forex issue here and there?
I'm very afraid to answer that question. I'm
How about you,
very scared
Madaki
to answer that question.
How about you?
But let me answer it.
Oh, you still want to? Very quickly, in 30 seconds.
Nobody should be exempt from the law of a land.
Okay.
The problem we have in Nigeria is people have taken advantage of the access to government in many ways. And that's why a majority of us are poor.
All right. How about you, Madaki Ameh? Very quickly in 30 seconds as we try to.
Going to align. That was the angle that I was going to take it from. You know, the law is the law, and you have to. You know, there should be no sacred cows. You know, whatever. You know, business.
Even when we have to protect a giant project like
but whatever
Dangote Refinery.
Whatever business you do has to be done in an ethical manner. Right. And if there are any concerns, you know, you should be able to go and defend yourself and say, well, you know, I think we did it the right way. And if you did not, then you have to also fall in line.
If the government intervened in one way or the other, wasn't it being nationalistic so that Dangote Refinery in this huge capacity doesn't crumble or fail even before it starts producing fuel? Yeah,
but that's for the government to say. You know, the government should come out and say, well, you took a deliberate decision.
We have a problem here. That's the challenge we've had. Yeah. Because we've allowed a very few people who seem to be the big tigers to get away with murder.
All right. Well, Ademola Adigun is an oil and gas expert. We must thank you so much for your immense contribution in this topic. And of course, also, we've had Madaki Ameh, who's the lawyer and energy expert, talking to us about all of this. And of course, Dangote Petroleum is one that a lot of Nigerians are really, really counting on to help out on Nigeria's energy crisis. We just hope that the Dangote Refinery, when it begins producing petrol, will ensure that we do not have any challenges, at least within the country, of having petrol on the streets. Well, that's how it's been for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Do join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Sam Sambo.